Hey everyone, welcome to Moonshot House Fireside Chat. We're back again and we're doing a live. I'm so excited to be live.
That's great.
So we're here with Rahim Amidi and we are in 1010 Wilshire Boulevard in LA. This is one of your buildings, so thank you for having us here.
Welcome.
So excited, Moonshot House community membership, all of you out there. So glad you're in there. We're going to just get started in a few minutes as we let everybody sort of into the meeting at this point. But we're going to talk about how an immigrant built an empire in Silicon Valley. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And we've got lots of fun things going on at Moonshot House over the next few months. So I'm going to mention it now and I'll mention it again at the end so we don't forget. On the 19th, there's a roundtable. On December 10th, there's a panel discussion about how technology shifts under the pressure of a pandemic. That sounds extremely interesting. So this is, I think, our sixth Moonshot House, maybe fifth or sixth, something like that. I feel like we're just really gaining momentum with our interesting, and I'm so glad to have you here, Rahim. It is just my pleasure to get to talk with you. So let me give you a little bit of an introduction so everybody who doesn't already know you, because there are plenty in the community who do, but can get a little bit of background on who you are. So you are the founder and chairman at Plug and Play and the managing partner at Amidi Group today. You are a technology investor, serial entrepreneur, seasoned executive with over 35 years of experience in early stage venture capital, real estate, manufacturing and distribution, domestically and internationally. Rahim Amidi and his brother Saeed and his family started in the Bay Area and built multiple successful businesses and brands worth billions of dollars today, including Plug and Play, Hollywood Production Center, bottled water manufacturing, and the Amidi Group. Plug and Play brand, recognized as the most active venture capital in Silicon Valley and the largest accelerator program in the world in 2019, with over 30 offices across 15 countries, and is known as an early stage investor in the companies like PayPal, Dropbox, Logitech, Danger, Voodoo, Honey, and Garden Health. Also, the Amidi Group owns and operates 1 million square foot of real estate with over 2 billion assets under management. Wow, that's a lot of accomplishment. You came here to this country. How old were you?
18, 19.
18, 19. What did you think when you got here? What did you think your prospects were? What did you expect to do here?
We were supposed to go to school and study since we were a good student.
So you were just here to study. Yeah, and so you were going to be a good student. But we
came right before the revolution, 4 or 5 years before the 1979 revolution in Iran. But our intention was come and study and go back and help the family business. But when the revolution happened, it changed the whole thing because they nationalized all of our assets in Iran. So we had to start from scratch. And that's what we did.
So you got thrown into entrepreneurship. Yeah. What did you
my family always, they were entrepreneur back home in Iran, and they built the 7th largest industrial group in Iran. As a family, that we were entrepreneur, but here we were forced to make it happen.
So what'd you tackle first?
First, because we are Iranian, we brought a small shipment of Persian carpet from Iran. And even though we weren't in that business, we had to start trying to sell them to department store or to dealers and so on. So that was our first business in California on University Avenue. And from there, then we started the plastic business, export of plastic business from US to Middle East, which was plastic for bottled water, milk bottle, and so on. And then through the plastic business, we got involved into water business in Europe. But
so it seems like one thing led to another, led to another. Was there a plan about it, or you just kept taking advantage of new opportunities?
If you ask us if we have planned any of this, we didn't. But yes, one business has opened the door for other opportunity, and when it happens, we just do it, and some of it works, some of it doesn't.
I love that idea of the opportunities presenting itself and you looking at that and evaluating and saying, this is the next opportunity, let's go after that. Is there some kind of screening criteria, some kind of evaluations that you use to try to decide this is worth pursuing?
First of all, any business which we have done, me, my brother, we get very involved from the beginning ourselves. That way we feel like, are we in the right direction or a wrong direction? For example, a lot of people, they ask us, how did we get involved in investment, in technology and so on? It really started from real estate. I was interested to have some real estate in Northern California, in Palo Alto. We bought some small real estate back then. We didn't have that much money. So when we bought the real estate, then we were trying to lease the small offices we had. That's how we got to know some of these entrepreneurs, which they were out of Stanford University looking for office space. Then we learned when they are looking for office space, they don't want to make long-term commitment because they don't know how long they're going to be in business.
Or if they're going to grow out of it.
Or they don't want to spend their money on furniture. So quickly we figured out we have to make a product which they can come in and start doing what they need to do and not spend the money on the phone system, that, this and that. So that is how we got involved in providing real estate for technology startup. Then after maybe 1 year, 2 years, we learned the real business. It's not the real estate which we are providing, it's maybe getting involved in the investment itself. And then we started putting some seed money in some of the startup, like PayPal, Google, Logitech, all of those startup, they started in our building, which is 165 University. There was
it's a magic building in Silicon Valley lore, right?
They call it Karma Building, and that's where we started our business as well.
So interesting. So you're attracting all these really interesting and exciting new technology companies. You're looking at it from an investment perspective and from a real estate perspective. And how did you really look at them and say, these companies are really going someplace? They turned out to be unicorns at the end of the day.
But because we didn't understand technology, we weren't even paying attention of what they do or what they want to do. We were mostly interested to who we are talking to, how committed they are. It was more of investing in individual and the founders than the technology itself, because we had no background of technology.
So you were truly looking at the drive, the where these were going, what they were going to put into it. Interesting.
Still today, that's how I choose the investment. It's not about the idea or technology, because I don't understand it, but I understand when people, they are committed and they are serious and they are passionate and they are educated in whatever they want to do.
Interesting. So I've been lucky enough to come to some of your plug and play events, of which we're not having very many right this moment, at least not live ones. But what I thought was my experience of it was exactly that these were some of the most interesting, committed, hardworking people that founders that I had ever been surrounded by. So that definitely has carried through as you've grown this from what was a small investment to much larger company. I mean, goodness, what did we say there? Plug and Play has How many companies are in the accelerator right now?
We invested in over 1,200 companies over the years. But for example, last year we have invested in more than 220 companies. Because right now it's not just Silicon Valley, all of our branches in Europe, China, and so on, each one of them, they do the same thing we do in Silicon Valley.
So at what point in the process did you say, okay, this investment side is really working for us. Let's start plug and play. Let's expand into other countries. Let's make this bigger.
Yeah, when we had the building 165 on university and we were dealing with these startups, and we learned the whole process. It's not that efficient for the startup. Not only the real estate part of it, but when they want to see the angel investor or the VCs, not having that contact or so on, we thought if we do what we are doing, because some of these startups, other than being our tenant, they were asking us, can you connect us to this company, that company, when they had their product. And that made us start thinking, okay, they need more than money and more than the real estate space.
They need relationships.
They need relationships. And we thought if we have a bigger place and we do what we like anyway, working with these startups, introducing them to different opportunity and VC community, angel community, or corporate partners. Anyway, as I said, it wasn't planned, but we did it, and then we learned these startups more than money and everything. They need connection to the corporate world and finally to license their technology or sell their services to the corporate world. So we start introducing them to potential customer, potential
right. So
buyer.
They're getting market proof at the beginning, which is one of my favorite things to personally talk about. So they're getting market proof because you're connecting them up with corporations that need some new innovation, some new thing, and they're now working together.
We do that very, very early on when the startup comes. Instead of us making a decision, is it a good investment or good idea or not? If we like the founders, we start introducing them to the corporate world or to the people they need to sell their product to. And if they bless it, it's immediately more value because they got a pilot or
right, they got a big corporate sponsor, they've got a chance, right? It also brings more investment in, so you're really creating a richness of growth for them.
Yeah,
that's
but
so interesting.
Also our business model has changed from real estate services to seed investment, and later on we realized they need connection to the corporate world. Right now we have over 400 corporate partners, which we run different programs for them. They want to know what's happening within their industry, outside of their own environment.
So the corporate partners now have a need.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seeing a pattern here of where you identify opportunities and needs really quickly because you must be having ongoing conversations all the time all the time with the founders, with the people in your buildings. Like that's how that grew all the time. So you're identifying these needs and then finding a way to fill that. That's a fascinating way to grow a company. What's next for Plug and Play?
I think operations like Plug and Play. As I said, we started with seed investment, a special program for the startup, connection to the corporate partners and so on. I think this model is gonna, because it makes it more efficient for the startup, instead of them working on a product for 2-3 years and then get a chance to present it to the end
to a company to use it. Yeah.
that model, it makes it very efficient within 2-3 months before they even burn a lot of money and time.
That's why market proof is my favorite concept to talk about, because if you can get that match between market need and early stage, then not only can you develop better technology at the end of the day, but you've got an early adopter on your system that's going to create a cash flow for you, right? Because in a way they're creating more people wanting to come into the company.
That, and also if you talk about a startup business or technology business in general, it used to be just Silicon Valley. Now everybody, they understand this could be anywhere in the world where you have a bunch of smart young entrepreneurs, which they come from good school, and it's just the culture which it was started in Silicon Valley. Now it can happen in many places, many parts of the world, and it can create a lot of opportunity for young entrepreneurs to create job for themselves and other people.
Interesting. So the pandemic has obviously affected your plug and play model, because you had an accelerator building and there were a lot of people in that building coming in and out. And you had these wonderful events where you bring corporations and the founders together. So you're not able to do that in quite the same way anymore. How have you shifted?
Yeah, actually, as you said, when it happened, it really stopped our operation as far as events and connecting people. But very quickly, Saeed, my brother, he did it on the web. And now actually we are getting more people. For example, let's say if you're a corporation and you wanted to come to one of our events with 2 or 3 people of your organization, now you can bring 50 people.
Right.
And it's not just the time limitation or physical location. Actually, it's working really good. And I think going forward, it's going to be a complementary, having what we were having before or in various locations. I was talking to China last night. We have a big operation in China with 8 locations and so on. Now things are getting back, and they had the major event last night in Shanghai, but they also switched very quickly, even before our headquarters, to the web thing, and it's working very
well. I'm not surprised over there in China, because they have to do business with many of us here. So they're always doing it virtually because we can't always travel. So so that doesn't surprise me. And I'm glad that it's going to become an integral part of your process, because, for some of us founders that we're more mature, we've got families, we can't relocate, we don't get to join your accelerator. But in this more virtual model, there's a benefit for the founders as well as the corporations. And I think that's wonderful that you could have both. That's going to expand everything.
Yeah, and the startup get to expose to a much bigger audience. The corporation, they get a chance to bring more of their team to get a feel of what's
get more buy-in. Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm so glad things are really moving. Out of all the investments and all the opportunities that have come your way, which is your favorite? Which is the one that you like the best?
The carpet business.
You still love the carpet business the best.
Yeah.
Why is that?
We still have it, and I enjoyed it. It's art.
It's art. At the end of the day, beautiful carpets. I agree with you on that one. So that's really interesting that you still love that the best. It's where your heart is.
Yeah.
But out of all the unicorns and all the different investments that you've evaluated over the years, is there one that you walked away from that you thought, I really missed that because they turned out to be great?
Yeah.
Why'd you skip them?
It was Facebook, and it wasn't like we walked away. We couldn't make the deal because they wanted to have a exclusive on that real estate 165 where we all started. They wanted to have a long-term lease, but our thinking was that place, it's bring us a lot of future startup. So we knew it's a right deal to do. We agreed on everything. We couldn't agree on the term of the lease. But
So
that was a big mistake from me.
well, I don't know. You might end up right in the end with as many serial unicorns that you create out of it. So you may actually be better off. You never know. We'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. The sort of the recommendations you would make for, let's do it for investors or other people thinking about seed investing. What kind of recommendations do you make for those? What should they look for? What should they know from your experience that they might pitfalls they might fall into?
Yeah, I think anything you want to do, being real estate or investment in technology, you have to look at it long term. If you want to do it for less than 10 years, it's better to not do it. And if you want to do it with this fluctuation of the market, you're never going to be able to time the market. So you have to commit to whatever you want to do, being real estate invest. As long as you call it investment, it means it's going to take time.
It's a commitment.
Yeah, and then you just want to do it with the right people. Right people, they are the one which they are committed, they are honest, and they are passionate about what they do.
Nice. What about for the founders? What can they do? What can they do better to attract investors?
Just commitment.
Be
because
committed.
The idea could shift, or they can start with one thing, they end up with something else, or the market will take them somewhere else. But if they're committed and they're knowledgeable about their own field, you cannot go wrong.
I love that. You know, you work with so many different and diverse investments, companies. You've got the carpet business still. You've got all of these things going on. How do you manage that diversity?
Anything which we start, we usually start ourselves, meaning me or my brother Saeed. Then we build our team around it. So if we got in water business, we started ourselves, then we brought in good entrepreneurs and we make them partners. And basically after 2-3 years, they are the one, they are running the business. We are just there to help them.
I love that I call it doing things the hard way, right? You want to get down to the basics of how a company works, what they're doing, how they function.
You have to understand it.
And understanding that so that you can put the right people in place because you understand what it's going to take to make it a success.
Yeah, and you cannot be everywhere yourself. And even if you are, you might not be the right fit for running that business. But there are good people always around.
I love that. What kind of difficulties or ease is it to work with your family? I work with my husband. There's lots of people who are in family businesses. Is that hard? Yeah. Is that hard for you? Is it easy? What do you find?
Over the years, we learned to just not bother each other. And when it comes
you learned your lane.
When it comes to business, it's either my responsibility or Saeed's responsibility. We just do our own thing and we respect maybe the other person is doing a better job than me. And as long as we just pay attention to what's our responsibility and not try to blame somebody for a mistake or think, oh, I'm the one, I know everything.
I would do it differently, yeah. Right? So there's a lot of respect and trust there that happens.
Even with entrepreneurs or a startup, if you don't have that respect and that trust, it's not going to work.
With any partner.
Yeah.
That's so true. So absolutely important. There's some words that we thought we'd try something new this time, and we're going to throw out some words and let you say the first words or phrases that come to your mind, things that you think of when I say these words. Are you ready for that?
Please try.
We'll try. We'll see how it goes. We thought this might be fun to try this. So What do you think of when I say startup?
Entrepreneur.
You think entrepreneur. Love that. Real estate.
Great.
Still great, even right now.
Even right now.
China.
It's the beginning of what we're going to see about China. I've been going to China for 35 years for different business, and what they have accomplished, it's unbelievable, and I think it's just the beginning.
I think so too. We've been doing it for 20 years, and we agree with you. There's some amazing inroads they've made over there.
And hardworking. They've been working so hard for the last 35 years, and the true entrepreneurs
are emerging, right? Yeah. They're really emerging now. We didn't always see them in the beginning, but now you're starting to see that entrepreneurial spirit.
No, it's in them.
Yeah, it's coming out now.
In real estate, in any type of business, last 35 years, what they have accomplished, it was never accomplished by any other society like that. As fast as they did it, as good as they did it. Yeah. And right now, they're basically partners in every country in the nation, in the world.
What do you think of when I say seed investment?
Seed. Must be small.
Must be small. I love that. That's great. COVID-19.
Disaster.
Yeah, let's come out of this disaster, right? Elon Musk.
Great entrepreneur.
Luck.
Great.
It's nice to have luck, right?
Really.
Buddha statue.
I like them.
You like them. So, this is so interesting, Rahim, because I was having lunch with you a few months ago with a group of entrepreneurs, and one of the entrepreneurs who we've had on the show, Amelia Antonetti, she was talking about the immigrant spirit. And I think you embody that as well. Like the two of you kind of, I think, bonded over that. What do you think is the most difficult part to being an immigrant into this country and starting business, and the easier part?
I think, as you said, the first generation of the people, they come to US, especially US, because the opportunity is here, and anybody which they are willing to work hard and try things, they can succeed here. So the first generation immigrant, they work much harder than our second generation.
There's something to prove.
That, and also they have a lot more drive. They want things to happen, regardless if they're rich to begin with or they're not, but they see the opportunity it's giving to them. It's a lot more than wherever they came from. And they like to prove themselves. They're willing to work harder. They are not lazy. And when we look at these startup or entrepreneurs, a lot of them, because of their background, they are who they are today. Education.
So that's all built into, that drive is what you're talking about.
The main thing, the drive.
And you recognize that because you have it yourself. So, but what's the more difficult thing?
More difficult thing is to learn in the beginning about the society you're dealing with and the variety, especially in US. When we talk about this society, it comes from various culture where you have to learn it, and you have to just be friendly to everybody and just learn different culture, because this is a mixture of culture. It's not just one culture.
We learned that early on in our careers when we were trying to do business with a German company and a French company, and they have very different paths of decision-making processes that we weren't really aware of. We were young and it was our first business. But working in America is not like that, because there's a little bit of all those different things mixed together. So it is harder to read. I would agree with that.
Yeah, but it's a very special place because you get a chance to learn all of that in one country.
Yeah, that is really interesting. So, you have 1,200 or currently have 1,200 companies in the plug and play model, currently 1,200. What kind of, this is a thing we find out from venture capital and things all the time, is that they don't have a very high success ratio. Are you seeing a higher success ratio because of the model?
Because of the model. Part of it is because we don't get very involved with them as far as controlling. So it's 100% their control. We are a small investor. We just want to help them to get where they want to get. And that's one thing, since we are not on their board or we are not trying to control.
So it's not over time consuming either, right?
Yeah, we see our job, it's if the entrepreneur is good, help them with their business plan, introduce them to other investors like ourselves, and then introduce them to the corporate partners, which they might be able to help them or to pilot. That model of connecting them with the corporate world early on, I think that in the beginning, it didn't matter because we didn't have the connection. But now, that's why a lot of startups, they come to us because they see the value of early connection to the corporate world, early connection to the VC before they spend 2-3 years on building the product.
Yeah, I think that one of the things from having met a lot of the corporations specifically involved in your advertising and media events and group, but they are also challenged because corporations don't move so fast. When you get to be big and you get to be large and with a giant staff, you can't be as flexible and as innovative. So you're actually giving them great access to the ability to have, I would call it like a skunk works group or something that is giving them that shot of innovation and a test and a research into whether or not they should try these things.
Yeah, and also I think what I see now with these corporate partners, a lot of time they want to have this relationship with us and these startup or entrepreneurs because it will affect the culture of their company.
Pushes them to be more innovative.
As you said, they're slow moving and so on. And when they connect with people like us or platform like us, or they bring the entrepreneurs to their environment, it teaches their team how to be entrepreneur or how to work harder, and it's just different culture.
Yeah, interesting. So we're having a cross-cultural, and I mean that from corporate cultural, cross-corporate cultural influence on each other. The startups are starting to learn how corporations work. The corporations are starting to learn how startups have their energy and where they could go from there. That's a really interesting mixture and great mixing pot you're bringing together as well. So you're kind of mirroring what goes on in our American society here. So that's a really interesting way to look at that. The other thing that I was thinking about as you were just talking then is that there really is a model for how to grow an investment group, how to grow a firm and all of that, but you must be getting information and your own counsel from elsewhere. So do you have experts that you rely on? Do you have mentors? Do you have things that you read? How do you keep yourself informed and growing as an individual? How do you keep learning?
I think being in touch, because when you are in a startup investment, you learn every day from these entrepreneurs, because in half an hour, in 1 hour, they come and explain for you of an industry or a technology which you don't know anything about. And then...
So you're always learning from them.
It's obviously, Then when you want to introduce them to the certain industry or certain company or corporate partner, you also learn about what industry you're. It just constantly, it's like you're in a school and learning.
You're compounding knowledge.
It's fun too, because you're dealing with people. It's not just reading the book. You feel different people, different passionate, why they are passionate about this, or why the industry became so big, or how could a small company make a huge difference to one industry, like let's say Uber. Uber, it's not a technology. Uber, it's using technology for what we've been doing for many years, transportation.
Right, right. So I've met your son. You have a next generation coming on. Is that easy for you? Is that difficult for you to start thinking about legacy and transition?
No, actually, that's how we got to learn the business with our family, and we were just there around them and see how they make decisions, how they build trust and so on. That's what we are trying to teach them and see.
So you're doing an immersive model.
Yeah, and finally they're gonna do what they like, hopefully, because that's important. But now all we are doing, we are exposing them to all these opportunities.
Nice. What do you want to accomplish next? What do you personally want to do next?
Just continue.
You just want to keep going. You love it so much.
Yeah, so far it's good. I enjoy real estate, I enjoy investment, but mostly it's just enjoying people and seeing other people, how you can help to become successful.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to go to some questions that we have from our audience, and it says, as an investor, which industries do you think will be growing in the next decade?
Healthcare.
Healthcare. And are you interested in that yourself is the second part of the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why healthcare?
Because it's important and it's a huge cost, and there is a lot of way they can save a lot of money and they can improve the healthcare, and it's the most.
It affects us all, right? Yeah. Robert, thank you for that question. I have Maria Smith, and she asks, what are red flags when you review a pitch deck of a startup company? And how often does it take you to make a decision? When you review a pitch deck, what are some red flags that you see, or when they give you a pitch?
Just, unless I see the founder, I don't make any decision.
That's really important. So you need to see them face to face. So you don't want just the slide deck. Yeah. You want to meet them. And how long does it take you to make decisions on investments?
It takes that first meeting, but I make sure we have at least 10 other meetings before I make this.
Why 10?
Because you learn about the people and you learn.
More comes out over time?
What they say the first day, what they said the fifth time, and so on. It's all about evaluating the people during that 10 meeting.
So you're getting a sense of integrity over time. If they say the same things, or they say it
or who are their friends, what's their background, how many friends they have, and
so you're getting a deeper dive. Yeah. That's very interesting. Let's see, we've got, do you think the recession is coming in the coming months? The stock market is very high, and it doesn't look like many industries are damaged with what happened in the last few months, but do you think a recession is coming?
I hope not, but I don't think so, because the base of the economy is healthy, and because a lot of people, they get more opportunity now to do things and to create their own business. I think now it's not like before we say it's gonna go this way or that way. There is so many other way the economy can go.
Our economy is a little more diversified, right? Let's look at it from that perspective. That's a good idea. Post-COVID era, do you think we'll see new types or fields of startups emerging? So that's an interesting, as you're talking about diversification.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you already seeing that?
Not necessarily we see it now, but the result of this, I think we all learned there is different way of doing business during this period, and because it became long enough, we're gonna learn that yes, there is not only the way we used to do business or we used to do operation. Yeah, there will be a lot of new way of looking at business and business opportunity.
It opens up opportunity, right? As you were just saying earlier about your business, is that the shift that Saeed made for you to go virtual is actually a benefit. Yeah. And so why wouldn't you keep that? So there's probably going to be more of that going on.
More of that, and the combination. It's like an e-commerce versus regular retail. Who would think e-commerce it grow to what it is today? And for example, right now, because of the corona, the e-commerce got a huge opportunity, which it would take 10, 20 years for people to adopt. Now they adopted in less than 9 months.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope, seeing your favorite business is still your carpet business, that there's, and I designed a lot of furniture over the years, that I certainly hope we don't lose the idea of wanting to go touch and feel and buy things forever. Like, I mean, I understand in a desperate need, I will buy a carpet online, but I certainly would like to go walk on it first. Exactly. So we have another question that says, what are your future plans for Plug and Play? And what directions do you want to take Plug and Play? So we talked a little bit about that, but do you have like do you put out a plan? Do you look at a 5-year plan? Do you think about it that way?
In our mind, yeah. In our mind, we think it's going to be more international, more branches, and more opportunity for more entrepreneurs.
More worldwide collaboration too.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. What impact do you feel COVID will have in real estate and the future of that industry?
I think it will, like every other industry, it will change. For example, where we are today at 1010 Wilshire, we opened this building 12 years ago, and the reason we did this, we build a community like technology as a plug and play or Hollywood production for entertainment. Then as I was opening this building, this is like 227 unit. And because our entitlement, it's leave work, it means you are allowed to live here and work here. And a lot of businesses like software business, gaming business, e-commerce business, and so on, you really don't need to be in 2 locations, home and work. And especially if you are a startup and starting a business, if you can have your team around you like 24 hours a day, you become like a lot more efficient.
You become like the startups in your accelerator. Yeah. You've created an accelerator environment.
For example, we have tenant which they started with us with 1 small unit. Then now they have the entire 16th floor. They have their family there. They have the people which they work with them. And sometimes they don't leave the building for 1 week. And they don't have to deal with the traffic of LA and so on. So I think real estate in future, because we are not a typical hotel, we are not a typical apartment, and we are not a typical office building. But yet, you can accomplish everything you can accomplish in those different businesses all under one roof, meaning you can live here, you can work here, you have a community of professional people like yourself in the building. So it's a new product when we started 12 years ago, and I see a lot of people, they're gonna think they don't want to just go to the office and come back or go to the apartment and come back. A lot of us right now, we can combine all of that and have a lot more efficient life and more fun.
Well, I'm certainly living that personally. We were supposed to start an office this year, and then of course COVID hits, and we haven't started an office. And I don't think we're really missing it. And we just decided to diversify our team in a different way than we would have done otherwise. It would be nice to have everyone co-located, but for right now, all our family's involved, so we might as well stay where we are, right? So you are finding that model, and this is really an interesting LA phenomena and Hollywood phenomena to those that they bring people in for periods of time to work on films. And so you've got a kind of an environment that functions like that already. So they were looking for that. So you, again, saw an opportunity and found something that was unique to fill it. Amazing. I've got another question here that says, besides looking at the startup team and the individuals, what are some important secondary criteria you look at when evaluating a startup?
For me, it's again back to entrepreneurs and their commitment. And part of that, it's because as an investor or as a seed investor, you cannot say, oh, I understand every technology, or I understand
what it's going to do next, right?
But the only thing you can at least use your judgment, it's back to entrepreneurs and their commitment.
So it's your number one and your secondary at the same time. Interesting. So Sarah asks, what is the best way to learn how to do business and deals for an entrepreneur with a tech background? So what can we as entrepreneurs learn more about that sort of relationship building and deal making from the other side?
From, you mean
as a founder, what can we do better to learn more about how investors think and what we should do on that side?
Just to spend time with them and see and ask them what are you looking for. If the investor is just looking for making money, that's different than building relationship. A lot of the startups which we work with, if it doesn't work on the first investment, but if we like that entrepreneur, we support them on the next idea they have. Or we may run to an idea and come to them and say, this is our opportunity.
We think you'd be the good people to run this. That's an interesting model of way to work. That brings me to one question I didn't ask you earlier, which is really about failure. So from that, I'm starting to glean the idea that you do believe that failure is okay, that you can really learn from that. What is your view on that?
Actually, if you are not ready to fail, you don't start anything.
You can't fail. You can't fail if you don't do something.
We felt in many businesses which we did, or many startup which we invested, as long as you're honest, you don't want to cheat your investor, and you are passionate about what you're doing, that's all we can expect from you.
It's a risk anyway, so yeah.
Life is a risk.
Wonderful. So Sam is saying, I was in the first media and entertainment cohort earlier this year, Axel AI. How can we best approach plug and play regarding further engagement? So
I don't understand the question.
So he's saying that the Axel AI was involved in the first media and entertainment cohort that you had earlier this year, and they want to know how companies can engage more with plug and play.
Companies or a startup?
I'm thinking it's startups, because that's what Axel AI sounds like.
They should just participate in. We have like 13, 14 vertical: health, insurance, fintech, real estate, and so on. If the startup is focusing on one of these vertical, they should get in touch with the head of that vertical, because each vertical, they are responsible to have a corporate partners within that vertical, and also they review a startup and deal which it fits that vertical. Then we try to connect them.
Start doing some matchmaking going on and within that. Okay, so look in your vertical is the answer, and look in your vertical and start to connect up with who's ever the head of that vertical.
Exactly.
and get more engaged. So wonderful. I'm not seeing any other questions. So with that, what is the parting words that you'd like to share with our audience to inspire them to continue to go forth, be the founders and be investors, whatever that is in their best interests and in their futures? But what's your best advice for them?
I think you have to think, okay, you either want to have a comfortable life and go get a job somewhere, or if you want to really feel good and feel success, even if you fail, it's a success because you keep learning. Just do whatever it's your passion and do it with the right people and go to the right people.
I love that. Passion and people together. Wonderful. Well, Moonshot has a museum. Moonshot House has a museum. What are you going to donate into the Moonshot House Museum so that all of our audience out there can someday bid on it?
Okay, I will make a moonshot carpet, handmade carpet, and we will give it to you.
Oh, I might have to bid on that. So I love that. So a Moonshot House specific carpet is going to go into the museum. That is special. Wonderful. Rahim Amidi, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for involving me over the years, because I've certainly enjoyed the mind share that your group is embodying in the world.
Thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing you again.